So we've done fear paralysis. These are some ways to do fear paralysis. Let's go on to Moro, which is what happens next. So that's this one. Everybody. So this is another one that worked really well in the homeless, preschools. And there's a rap that calls "Something's Coming Towards Me," because Moro is, you protect yourself, right? Something's coming toward me. So let's all do this. Something's coming towards me. Oh, it's just a leaf blowing in the wind, right? Okay, so we gasp, and then we say, "Oh, it's not that. I'm okay." All right? Sing with me. Something's coming towards me. Oh, it's just a bird flying in the sky. So I went around with this group of kids because the teacher said, Jaden said that he thought there was a monster coming toward him, and then he saw it was just a little ant. So we said, okay, let's do that. Something's coming towards me. It's a monster. Oh, it's just a little ant. Okay. And then we went around the whole room, and everybody got to pick what was coming towards them and then say what it was. It was great. They loved it. It was 4 or 5 year olds. And gives them power. Because what's happening is it's not just the story. It's the story activated by this, primitive movement that is actually the way we physiologically are built to get rid of that tension. And then the way my rap ends, which I will send you, make sure your email's here and I'll send it all to you, goes, something coming towards me. It's a ball! Catch! All right, so let's all do that. It's a ball! Catch! All right. Because one reason kids can't catch balls is they're in Moro reflex. The ball comes towards them, they go like this, right? All right? Then you want to do this like 10 times. I've done a lot of work with, and then you add a ball, Okay? And you do this. Here comes the ball. Catch! And you work with the breath, you work with the movement. And in your mind, as the adult present, you invoke, we're doing Moro, and the child's Moro will come forward if you call on it that way. And there's another part to the Moro that's very important. And Christian, will you come up here? I want to demonstrate it.
Yes.
Okay, so you do what I'm doing. Ready?
Ready.
Okay? Because the third part of the Moro is a big hug. And what you're doing is saying, I'm not safe. I better hide. Where's my mommy? Oh, okay. And that hug is really important. Often when I'm working with kids, I'll have them hug a stuffed animal or a pillow or a ball or themselves. Because what you're doing is taking the fear, I can't do anything with this, I can exhale, and now I'm looking around for someone to help me. There's someone to help me. And so it's about self-comfort, self-regulation, the social response. It's a very, very important reflex in that way. It also has a lot to do with vision because, if something's coming towards you, it has to do with convergence, right? The eyes are doing that. It has to do with fixation, depth perception. You're looking at something far away. So the Moro is very, very big in the vision world. And if a child has a vision problem, the Moro is probably part of that problem. And you can integrate the Moro again with having things throwing, bringing something towards the face. You can make up your own songs. I have a bunch to do that. But you can just, because control is everything, you can just take a little dog on a stick and say, doggy's coming towards me, towards me, towards me. Now he's going to hit my nose, bonk, bonk. Make it funny. And then, you're integrating the Moro because this is scary, right? But it's what you're doing when you're integrating reflexes is you're taking these movements that you do reflexively under stress and you're putting them under your own control. You're turning them into game. You're turning them into fun. And you're doing the same things, but the signal you're sending to your brain is, okay, now we are, I'll just draw it again. We're going here, 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 and now that's integrated. And now I can have something coming towards me and my Moro reflex isn't stimulated, but I've done all this practicing of this, and now my hands can do that because I have more possibilities of my movement. I can move in all sorts of different ways. Yes?
So how long does it take to get it? Like, to practice the Mora until there's a point of integration?
It really, really depends on the situation. It usually doesn't take very long. And now I'll answer Christina's question about can it fall out of integration or whatever. There's also this timeline that we're dealing with. Okay, so we've got conception, birth, toddler, teenager, whatever. And then all the way along the way, you have traumas, right? Maybe here's a fear paralysis. Maybe here's a Moro. Maybe here's an ATNR. Something happened, okay. My mom tripped when she was pregnant and I just froze. And she had to go to the ER and they did a sonogram and she was freaked out and the whole package was really awful. I didn't get over it, okay? I got born and I had trouble breathing and I ended up in the NICU for a while. Okay, I've got a stuck Moro from that. All right, I was toddling around and I fell on my side, punk, really hard. Okay, there goes my ATNR, which is this one. Yes?
I'm assuming, and maybe I'm incorrect, that the trauma, for it to have sort of a more permanent effect on the development of the reflex, the trauma has to happen at the point when the reflex is active.
No. It can happen anytime. I mean, because what actually has happened is that, I'm not sure of that, but when
Once the ATNR, ATNR becomes active at birth, right?
Yeah.
So once that...
Before it's active in utero.
Once that develops and is integrated, is that it? It's integrated? Or?
No.
Okay.
No,
so
because...
it becomes disintegrated.
Well, it's not integrated for every situation because we use our reflexes when we need them. You need to protect your face. So you want the Moro to be there because when you're actually in a survival situation, you need to move reflexively. The reflexes are our friends when there is actually a traumatic stress. And when we run into trouble is when the stress doesn't get released. When something happens and we aren't made to feel safe afterwards. Or there's an injury to the body that just goes into the tissues and it doesn't get completely worked through. That happens a lot. You know that as a chiropractor, that kid falls off the swing set and they seem to be fine. But then they come back 6 years later and they can't walk on the balance beam, and it goes back to that.
Presumably, though, if a child has a sensory and movement diet that's rich enough, so these reflexes do really integrate, there's a robustness there that when these traumas happen later on, the reflexes are there to protect us, but they don't necessarily get stuck.
Right. And I'm saying otherwise we would just be a mess because our reflexes are always getting activated. We're always doing stuff, But so it's only when there's when the back brain says, I might die. This is really bad. And that's why I said, okay, everything I described was a really bad thing. And when those things don't move through the wave, everything that happens in your life happens on top of it in a compensatory way. And there's a fundamental instability in the system because just doing that movement again can trigger that old trauma, and suddenly you're back there.